The failed former president Donald Trump has resurfaced, and he appeared on a program where, you know that phrase, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, does it make a noise? It's something like that. Anyway, he appeared on something called The Great America Show, hosted by Lou Dobbs. You might remember Lou Dobbs from CNN previously, and I think he was on Fox at one point. I don't know what this show is, but if you have a show that nobody knows about and nobody watches, does it really exist? And I don't know the answer to that, but Trump is as unhinged and incoherent as ever. I challenge you, spot the number of lies in just this first short clip.
Well, we wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have the problems that we have. We'd have an economy that would be roaring. We'd have $2 gasoline or less.
Okay, so Trump says if he were president, we wouldn't have inflation and gas would be under $2 a gallon and the economy would be roaring. Now think that through. Does anyone believe outside of this completely deranged MAGA world that if Trump were president, every country would see inflation and high gas prices except for the United States? Somehow, in his infinite genius and big a brain, Donald Trump would be able to do something to make the United States the one country that doesn't experience the global inflation that we've seen and doesn't experience the global increase in gas prices that we have seen. It doesn't make any sense. The really funny thing is Trump says, if I were president, the economy would be roaring. By basically every metric, the economy is doing great right now. I'm not diminishing or devaluing the real struggles that exist in the American economy: poverty, hunger, wage. Of course, that nothing has changed. By every major indicator, however, the economy is very strong. Gas prices down, inflation down, job creation doubled expectations in July, the most recent month for which we have data. Stock market is choppy the last few days, but significantly stabilized, and a great month in July, and overall looking very good. I could give you the full list. We've looked at the full. So if Trump were president, the economy would be roaring. If Trump were president and the economy were exactly as it is today, Trump would claim it's the best economy in the history of the United States.
Frankly, and we would be dominant in energy. We wouldn't only be energy independent like we were. We would be, by this time, dominant. We would be the dominant energy force.
Now, understand that Trump has had to shift his story on that a little bit. Trump used to say, under me, we were energy independent, and we no longer are under Joe Biden. The numbers are now so readily available and so present, and they've been repeated so many times. We actually are just as independent as we were under Trump currently, on fossil fuels, of course. And so Trump has had to shift to say we would have gone from independent to dominant.
It's just a disaster. The windmills are destroying, you take a look, destroying our beautiful open spaces and our plains and our valleys, and you just look at what's happening to the country.
Now, does Trump say, when Trump says that the windmills are destroying planes, I assume he doesn't mean airplanes. I assume he means like the Great Plains or whatever. And of course, they're doing no such thing. And we've talked a lot about, yes, wind power has a carbon footprint, and wind power also has, like many forms of energy, you also have things you then have to dispose of, like the wind farm blades, etc. But wind power is a great thing.
These windmills that are so horrible, they're all made in China and Germany, by the way, but they're all made outside of the United States. It's a shame what's happened to our country. And it truly is. It's a country that's failing. It's a country in decline. And it's very sad to watch. And then they weaponize at a level that nobody's ever seen before. They go after political opponents at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, Trump quite literally attacked the media, ridiculed people's appearance, was a dystopian authoritarian wannabe, but it's Democrats now who are doing things to their political enemies in a way that we've never seen before. That's completely and totally absurd. Trump then continuing on this extraordinarily bizarre program, and he seems to be sort of grasping at what he believes are relevant straws, when in reality they very much are not. Continue to listen to this.
I did nothing wrong. And it's the exact same thing here. We were essentially attacked. We were broken into. They opened up safes. They brought safe crackers in.
Now, understand, this was a legal search warrant. The search warrant listed the safe. They're allowed to look in the places delineated in the search warrant. This is another narrative that only will work on people who either aren't paying attention or are a little bit dim. This was an illegal thing that took place. This was essentially a burglary of Mar-a-Lago. There was a search warrant. There was an affidavit. The FBI director signed off on this. The attorney general signed off on this. A judge signed off on it. They gave Trump every opportunity to prevent this. It was completely and perfectly legal, but they want to convince people it was some kind of strong arm burglary.
They brought many, many FBI agents in,
Well, yeah.
all right before the midterms, and all when I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. This is a political attack on our country.
Now, I don't know what poll numbers he's talking about, but I've not been able to find evidence of what he's saying.
And it's a disgrace. And the people understand it. The people understand it. And they could have come in and they could have talked to us and they could have taken whatever they needed.
And they did. Understand that this is another part of the story. One part of the story is this was essentially a burglary. These were thugs who came in and cracked my safe. It was a home invasion. The other part of it, of course, is they could have just asked me for what they wanted. And now we have the paper trail on that as well. They did ask numerous times. And in fact, Trump lawyers, we still don't know whether the Trump lawyers believed it when they said it or not. But Trump lawyers said, we've turned everything over. We've turned it all over, when indeed they had not. Trump was given every opportunity to prevent this.
But instead they raided it. They took my passports. They took things that they should have never taken with that are privileged. And it's a disgrace to our country. It really is. It's just, and it just never ends. It's the same people, the same leaks, the same, they leak to the same places, the same people doing the leaking. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Our country's a wreck.
Yep. So essentially nothing true there. And continuing to pull this, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Now that is not going to work in court. If it gets to that point, it is no longer going to be a valid excuse. In the court of public opinion, it has worked quite well. I mean, you go to events, the standouts in Florida and other places where Trumpists are interviewed, and they have fallen for the Trump's really the victim. Eric Trump goes on Fox News and speaks in places and says, nobody's been treated as poorly as we've been treated. But that's not going to work in court. So that's Trump on the Great America Show with Lou Dobbs. Let's take a look at the Truth Social stuff next. One of our sponsors today is Feels. Feels is a premium CBD designed to help you feel your best, delivered right to your door. With everything going on in our daily lives, we all need to take a moment to relax, and that's where Feels comes in. Many people report CBD helping with anxiety, stress, and sleeplessness. If you have aches or pains, there are people who use CBD as a safe, natural method for relieving pain without side effects. Feels CBD oil is awesome. The CBD-infused mints are great. They leave you with fresh breath. You can try Feels caffeine-free focus melts to get you through the afternoon slump. Feels even offers a free hotline with experts to give you advice about CBD, dosage, finding the right starting point. And when you join the Feels monthly membership, you'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. Become a member today. Get 50% off your first order with free shipping when you go to feels.com/DavidP and use the code DavidP. The link is down below.